Access Minnesota, issues that matter to you. Access Minnesota brings you the newsmakers and the stories that shape our everyday lives, with analysis from University of Minnesota faculty experts. Now, here's Jim Dubois.
The Bell Museum of Natural History is best known for its collection of nature and animal dioramas. Many of us may remember these dioramas from an elementary school field trip. These days, the Bell, like many other museums, is finding new ways to broaden its outreach. This month on Access Minnesota, we visit the Bell Museum and learn about programs that are geared specifically towards adults. We'll see how these programs are redefining the museum experience. Later in the show, we hear from Leah Peterson, who is one of the current artists in residence at the Bell. But first, the museum's Leah Peterson tells us more about the Bell's expansion into happy hours and nightlife. Leah Peterson is the Adult Programs Coordinator for the Bell Museum of Natural History on the University of Minnesota campus. Leah, welcome to Access Minnesota.
Thank you very much.
Leah, tell us about the programs that you oversee, and especially the programs that are more oriented toward adults. How do those programs differ from the usual museum experience?
Certainly. Well, I think one thing that the Bell Museum is known for is its outreach to K-12 students, especially throughout Minnesota. We actually have this great honeybee program going on right now with fifth graders from the Minneapolis Public Schools, and tours that go on all year in summer camps. But the adult programs is this other piece that attempts to bring this rich wealth of science, research, and knowledge that we have here at the university and through the museum itself to an adult audience who may not necessarily interact with the museum as a student, as a college student. Many of them, it turns out, have memories of being here when they themselves were young through field trips or have brought their kids or their grandkids here. But we're providing opportunities for them to engage with the museum as well. So one of the programs that we have is called Café Scientifique. It's a very unique program aside from all of our other program streams here at the Bell. It takes place at the Bryant Lake Bowl, which is in Uptown. And they have a great little black box theater there. We get in there once a month, September through May, and bring in researchers from the university to talk about some interesting, perhaps obscure topic, or maybe a topic that's grabbed right out of the headlines. So, for example, we did a presentation on the Higgs boson discovery with a researcher here at the university who had helped to build the Large Hadron Collider and was part of this, seeing this particle for the first time. And we get 90 adults, most often adults, some high school students once in a while trickle in because they're interested in something, who drink a beer and have dinner and get to interact one-on-one with a researcher in a really unconventional setting.
Well, it seems that more museums are adopting these adult programs to try and bring in an older clientele. We know the Science Museum, for example, has Social Science Night that includes, for instance, the science behind beer and wine. Or the MIA, which has their first Thursdays with music performances, art-making activities like screen printing on T-shirts. Is this a new trend for museums, or has it been going around for a while and maybe it took its sweet time to get here to the Twin Cities?
I think the trend in the museum world, as far as I understand it, and I'm kind of a new museum professional myself, that is for the distributed museum, the idea that the museum goes beyond the building in which it's housed, beyond the collections, and reaches out into the community in a number of different kind of unexpected ways. And it's a trend I'm really excited about as a programmer because it emphasizes not just the stuff that you've got in your collections, but how to have those relationships with people and bring it out in a meaningful way.
Leah, do you think these programs targeted toward adults are changing the way people think about museums?
I do think so, yeah. 2 years ago, the Bell Social, which again is this event which celebrates our resident artists and the work that they premiere through their residencies here, had been voted the Geek Chic event of the year by Minnesota Monthly Magazine. And so I think, there is this sort of reaching back by people of my generation and maybe and beyond to having an authentic experience with actual objects. And that trend maybe comes out of, being able to interact virtually with so many different kinds of technology and having social interactions through your computer screen. but now the feeling I believe that museums have, which is an exciting time, is that people want to hold something in their hands and they want to walk around and see something with their eyes and experience, and play. I went to social science for the first time earlier this month, and it was a great event, and people were there doing things that I can only imagine, it was playing. People were playing and discovering and experiencing, and that's what we want to create for them here through our programming too, in the sense that they have the opportunity to have that authentic moment with another person or with a group of people who are learning and questioning. Inquiry is the basis of the work that we do here at the museum. We don't like to give people answers. We like to encourage them to ask questions that might lead them to think about their own answers. That seems to be a really rewarding aspect, bringing live people in to have interactions.
Well, let's talk more about Café Scientifique. Who is the audience for Happy Hour in Science?
We have a really dedicated audience of about 90 people, sellout crowd that comes every month. 45, I'd say, almost split down the half of those are regulars that show up time after time and are just enthusiastic about the cafe programming. And the other half of the crowd is usually split between people that are really interested in a particular topic or just sort of looking for a unique, different opportunity for a night out. It's a great date night. Bryant Lake Bowl markets it as part of their geek date night. Geek is apparently the word. It's a good thing that geek has become cool.
Well, these adult programs are obviously designed, number one, to take the museum outside of the museum and also to attract a younger population, perhaps. But you did say the demographic ranges from 30s to mid-30s to even 60s.
Yeah.
Have you seen, since you're getting people with like interests together, is this becoming not only an educational experience, but also a social experience? Are we seeing any relationships budding out of this?
Very much so. There's definitely a relationship for me personally with the audiences that come out more than 1 or 2 times to our shows in the cafe sense. There's also a great community building up around this new program. This year, as I've mentioned earlier, we've had artists in residence at the museum in the past. This year we sort of revamped or tried to take that program to the next level because we had an opportunity for funding from the McKnight Foundation and a wonderful opportunity to grow our residency program into something which we're calling the Resident Artist Research Project. And we have we went through an extensive call for artists and a search and committee process to find our 4 artists for this year and next year. And it's really built around, their residencies are really built around, artists coming in and reacting to the research and the collections in the museum, but also bridging out into that social realm and creating a community around thoughts and concepts at the museum. I think one of the great advantages of having artists sort of help to build that social aspect of it is that they are able to take something that seems very concrete or very research-oriented and conceptually interpret it in a way that can appeal to more people in a socially diverse setting and bring them together through a common understanding of that thing. And that's certainly one of our goals with our Resident Artist Research Project.
When Access Minnesota returns, more on the programs adults can enjoy at the Bell Museum.
Access Minnesota will return after these messages.